of that reminds me when my husband takes the garbage out, don't just expect it, but make eye contact and say, "Hey, thanks, husband, for doing that." Because it's a team, whether you're taking the trash out
Yes.
or you're calling these politicians in Washington, D.C. to count. You know what? It takes a strong team. So, would you talk about that? Go inside your marriage and just be brutally honest with us in what it's like to be a part of the team you're in.
So I am so grateful that I have such a great teammate, to be honest. I mean, we really set our roles out right away. Like first thing, one of the first things we did, we set our expectations and we let the other person know what we expected of ourselves to be doing and what we expected of the other person to be doing, which I think was actually pretty emotionally mature for a 20 and 22-year-old that we're just
Yeah.
getting this thing started. Like, I'm pretty proud of us for that, even at such a young age. But we really said, and my husband always has this thing that he'll tell friends and different people that are like, we just told our son who just got married, he'll say, if you don't want to do something in your household, if you're like, say we're telling our son this as an just as an example, if you don't want to be the laundry folder of the family, don't start folding the laundry every time when you first start out, because that's going to set an unreasonable expectation. Now, I'm not saying never fold the laundry, I'm just saying, like, don't do something you hate just to impress the other person to get started, because then they're going to think, oh, he's going to just fold the laundry, and then you kind of don't want to say, I don't like to do it anymore, and then all this resentment builds up. No, set a clear idea of what you expect from yourself, what you expect of your partner, and then just stick to it. That's all you have to do. Just set the expectations and then stick to it. And those things should be discussed probably before you actually tie the knot, so that you can, if it's maybe something you don't want to do, or it's not the right expectations for you, you can say, maybe we're not good for each other. But if you can get that stuff mapped out, especially when you talk about, you don't always know how it's going to be when you have kids. You could end up with special needs kids, or things could be different than you think, but you had a sense of the person and what kind of things that they are wanting to contribute to this relationship. And I think when you have two people who really want to contribute the most possible, I think that's really important. So we kind of set our roles out pretty solidly. I'm of the mindset personally, and we kind of both are, that it's so important for moms to be home as much as possible. And I'm not saying that because, I mean, I worked outside the home. My daughter is the type where she's like, Mom, I gotta work. I can't, I get bored. I like the outside stimulation. And so she's a working type of personality. I, on the other hand, I enjoyed being home. It fulfilled me to be home. I liked it. So we set out pretty early on in a very traditional team where I would rather him work a second job. If we needed more money, he would do more work and I would just buckle down at home harder. That we doubled down on our traditional roles. There's other people who, like I have a friend who, she's a nurse. And so she'll do her nursing job. She's an RN, and she'll just go in on the weekend graveyard shifts where he's home with the kids and she can go and do her weekend graveyard shifts as a nurse. So there's so many ways to work your family.
Hmm.
Moms can have an Etsy store. They can do, I always did hair cutting at home to make some extra money. You just figure out what your roles are. And then, like, a perfect example, like Sunday mornings, we had 5 little children to get ready, 4 boys, 1 daughter, right? So we had church at 10 a.m. I would get myself up, get myself showered and ready, except for not dressed, because some little child is going to come up and smear you with something or whatever. About an hour before we had to leave, I would have all the clothes laid out on the bed in my room, all the church clothes. I would start putting boys in the tub. We'd start putting kids in the tub, wash them up. I'd hand them off to him. He'd take them over, put them in the clothes, but then we'd walk out the door.
Yeah.
It was so perfect. I had everything laid out for him. I would do the bathing. He would do the dressing. I'd comb the hair. We'd walk out the door. Everyone's clean. Everyone's ready to go, and we're on time. Like, that's our kind of teamwork. He was a really hands-on dad. He was more the, hey, let's play type dad, and that was awesome. Um, and taught him the work part, but he worked a lot. So he was more about the quality time when he was with them. So we just kind of found our balance, and it adjusts, over the years of where you're at and which stage. But that was really where we found balance was help where we could, help each other where we could.